Stamford, Connecticut, on this Monday, May 28th, year of our Lord 2024. So, of course, first, go to our website, yankeet.news. Visit, like, subscribe, donate, buy our stuff, and tell everybody about it. And don't forget the Continental Tribune, THECTLTRIBUNE.com. Fabulous work by Sally Fink continues, and also I want to mention her Substack you should go check out. And it's the same thing. Visit, like, subscribe, donate, and tell the universe. And of course, now that Bob McGuffey has won the Republican nomination against Jim to take on Jim Himes, it's still donate, donate, donate. And the theme for tonight, World War III, no thanks. And by the way, since that's the theme, I'm just going to go out on a limb. You get to hear me say that the people who will cause World War III, the people who would trigger World War III, that would be the United States of America. So some feel that World War III is already underway. If you look at the statistics, there are already about 1 million people who have perished. So just lovely. All right, the quickies. First of all, the Chicken Little report. We have a little contribution from the ConnecticutInsider.com. Now, it was an article about the vineyards that make wine and grow grapes in Connecticut. In the article, they had these little slams here and there trying to throw in their climate change hoax crap. But there were other parts where they're trying to do a straight report on vineyards in Connecticut. So we have a little over 300 acres of vineyards, and they said 1.8 tons of grapes per acre, so you can do the math. So for people who like wine and like vineyards in Connecticut, it's a nice article to read. Meantime, this is troubling. So now I'm asking, more murders and violence in Connecticut? Maybe it's just the timing. I would have to look at the statistics, but it does seem that there's been a rash of violent crimes just in the last few days. So first we have, from of all places, nobody would expect in the quiet, peaceful little town of Deep River, Connecticut, a murder. And it turns out that the gentleman who is responsible appears to be a transgendered male, and he was stabbing people in Massachusetts and somehow found his way to Deep River where he murdered someone. So that's one. Quickly, there's another murder that took place in Waterbury. We have an assault with attempted murder that took place in Westbrook. And to round things out, if you go to Sally Fink's Substack, she is reporting that the problems at the Meriden High School are quite serious, quite serious. Just within a few days, you had 3 truants. They left the school, went down the street, and they attacked an old man and tried to steal his car. There was an assault on somebody else the next day. There were 5 fights that had to be broken up inside the school itself. And that's just what's been reported. So there's a serious problem at Hamden High School, and more needs to be said about it. Yeah. So, okay, I'm not a big fan, I will admit, of what goes on with our Connecticut legislature and their concepts of housing reform. I will still maintain that especially the Democrats are just lackeys for desegregate CT. And desegregate CT is just lackeys for the real estate developers. And see if I can find an example here. I just find it remarkable that they continue to beat on the same drum and they don't have a clear sense. They don't hear themselves. Okay, so I'm just a quick thing here. I'm just pulling this quote, a little bit out of context, forgive me. The bill notably allows the conversion of nursing homes to multifamily housing without a special hearing before town zoning commissions. Okay, well, this is what they've been wanting all along. They just want to do what they do. Screw you, screw the neighborhood, screw the people, screw the town. We're just going to do what we want to do. And yeah, that's just not a good idea. And so this is in the spirit of what is being discussed with respect to the other reforms that they like to talk about with respect to housing. So that makes me not a happy camper. Meantime, let's see here, the other part I want to get to is, yes, here I'm just going to rattle off a few headlines. I'm not going to get into it. Yep, yeah. So here the title is The Slow and Greasy Slide to Nuclear Armageddon, all right? So first we have an announcement that should be of additional concern to everything else we've heard about. So Spain is going to give more missiles and tanks to Ukraine in a $1 billion donation, all right? Now also, Poland is looking at sending troops into the Ukraine. You have NATO training for a nuclear strike on Russia, of all things. And there was, I believe, I want to say the Lithuanian country, they had an election, and the newly elected president there, who was conservative and won by a big margin, has made it clear that they may be sending troops to Ukraine as well, depending upon the kinds of moves that the Russians make. And if what's going on now is any indication, yeah, it's going to get worse. You know, Russia has to figure out where they're going to draw the line, because they should understand the more they push, they're more drawing other nations into this. And it's just going to be an ugliness and mess, and no one's going to be a winner, okay? No one. So meantime, now we learn that there's a Pakistani gentleman who is one of Biden's top donors. Now, foreign donors are not that unusual, but still you got to wonder. And I'm not sure it's such a good idea myself, but apparently he's referred to as a Biden surrogate. His name is Mohammed Tahir Javed. And while we don't necessarily have any real dollar figures, he apparently has raised substantial amounts of money. And of course, a person like that is also influential in Pakistani politics. So whatever favors greedy Joe Biden looking for, he's the go-to guy. All right. Now, the next item, we have to once again bring up the subject of flubby ducks. Yes, flubby ducks. I think I might have talked about flubby ducks last week. Well, certain scientists of an Asian persuasion have decided that flubby ducks of all types are, the term is essentially murder. So you'll have to go see it for yourself, but that's the article. And this just follows on. There are certain groups of researchers in Asia who are really doing a good job of being honest about what's going on out there. To which I want to just add quickly, remember there was the 19 journals that Wiley has to shut down because they had to retract over 11,000 papers. If anything was a salute to fake science, that's it. And the other problem is that we have other people who think these flubber duckies could be a big problem in the future. A lot more people will be victims of these flubber duckies. It's horrible, horrible. You'll have to read it. Okay, meantime. See, I have a special concern about education. On the one, I'm conflicted. On the one hand, I believe in public education. I want to see it reform and do better. On the other hand, it has become so rotted, so ruined, so toxic that, you know what, Mom and Dad, maybe you really need to get your kids out of the school system. So I keep going back and forth between the two. However, this is a problem that could very well, that's right, take care of itself. Because what's happening? Florida. So Florida has been leading the way in terms of supporting school choice. And now we have a report that indicates that it's beginning to really hurt the public schools. So the declining enrollments are enough such that they have to look at closing some schools and consolidating other schools. And the question is, how long will this go on for? I have a feeling, since the unions have always felt that they owned everything, that they'll hold on to the bitter end. So there you go. But that said, I just want to throw in one other point. I think what you'll find is that there will be a rapprochement between homeschooling and the public school system. As homeschooling becomes more powerful, public school systems are going to have to act more in support of homeschooling, which I think is going to be very interesting. All right, I like New Zealand. But I think people from New Zealand can get a little strange sometimes. There we go. The headline is teen hospitalized after attempting do-it-yourself gender-affirming surgery by following a DIY YouTube video. How sick is that? So, okay, the point of an article like this is that people who suffer from gender dysphoria are more seriously disturbed than people are willing to admit. All right? And those people who are trying to support it, you're going to have to face up to stuff like this. So go check it out. Meantime, all right, so we wanted to start jumping up and down and celebrating when it turned out that the so-called pandemic treaty, the One Health treaty that was under consideration by the World Health Organization at their assembly that was just currently going on, I believe, it's in Geneva, that we could finally declare victory. Well, no, we can't. We have slowed them down, we have stopped them. There's been such a massive worldwide pushback against this treaty that the World Health Organization finds that they can't really develop something, for lack of a better term, that works. But there's another warning here that you have to consider. This isn't the only treaty that's under consideration. There's the IHR treaty, which is the International Health Regulation one. Now, there's an argument that they're using the IHR as a workaround to some of the problems posed by rejecting the pandemic treaty. And one of those is access to, what should we say, organisms from indigenous sources that might be used for drug development. So now you'll find that the so-called third world countries are becoming much more strident about the terms and conditions for which pharmaceutical companies and others will be given access to organisms that are within their boundaries. So look out for that. And, oh boy. All right, to me, this is wait, I forgot, oh yes, number 7. Okay, number 7. Okay. All right, I have to paint the picture for you. It's a 1-minute video. You have to go see it. All right, you're out in the middle of the woods and you're looking around and what you see are women, just women. And they're all white women. There are no blacks, no Hispanics, no Asians, no Mideastern types, no, just white. And they tend to be young, maybe early middle age, and they're standing there in the woods. What are they doing? Screaming. It's therapy. They're screaming. What you have are white, liberal women standing in the woods, screaming. It's called rage rituals. Now, the part that gets me is that in order to conduct these rage rituals, they need to find a, quote, safe place in the woods. That's right. So when they find that safe place, now they can express their rage. They would never dream of expressing their rage in front of the people they're mad at. No, they have to go find a safe place to go do it. Anyway, check it out, 57 seconds. All right, this is, again, I like my think piece of the week, courtesy of Allum Bokhari. I'll just read the title first. False Neutrality. Center for Democracy and Technology admits political orientation of censorship partners cannot shift. Okay, so it just shows that any idea that they're trying to be fair or balanced in anything is just not true. So you have to explore this idea of false neutrality. Unfortunately, the liberal media is very good at it. Every night you tune in to CNN and MSNBC, and they're sitting there, yeah, Bob, you know, the way Congress has been handling issues lately does give us cause for concern. Now, you have to consider the fact that these people have been talking about it this way for a long time, and no, we know who you really are. Anyway, go check that out. And, yeah, I don't know, this is sort of borderline, ladies and gentlemen. This is sort of borderline. But let's just deal with who's really the key player here. Mogens. Yes, Dr. Mogens. You see, the title that I put up was FOIA Fandango. And what we've learned is that the NIH, I guess, has a bad habit of losing certain emails. And there seems to be some question as to why they're doing it, and if it's sloppy or intentional. We're not sure, but we'd like to know. So go check out that story. All right, and the last one, again, the title, jailed Trump advisor Peter Navarro says he doesn't want a pardon. I have no regrets. Okay, well, there's another agenda here for Mr. Navarro, which is he wants to make sure that his case makes its way to the Supreme Court. A pardon would essentially eliminate that. So good for him that he wants to see this all the way through, because it's obvious that the people who picked on him, as well as Steve Bannon, have no interest in the truth. They have no interest in the law. Yeah. Anyway, that's it. That's it for me now, and thank you very much. Right? Good night.